Central, are you ready? Please go ahead.
Hello, this is the Honor Hall, Central Texas News. It's May 15th, 2163. About to interview Jordan Lewis and Rosemary Poussey, engineers who are instrumental in the maintenance of Ostonio, one of the most advanced cities and its water system for its 14 million residents. Before we begin the actual interview, could you please give us a brief overview of the city model?
Sure. Here are the residential, commercial, industrial, and agricultural zones, as well as the Greenbelt Preserve. There's also a power generation zone, which includes concentrated solar power, wind power, and geothermal power. In addition to these city zones, Ostonio also has water quality and aquifer zones. Each zone has different water needs and requirements, and each building has its own water collection system.
And here's the Edwards Aquifer and the Carrizo over here.
I heard that 130 years ago, the water quality and supply was horrendous. How is this problem solved?
Well, that's a simple question with a complex answer. There were numerous solutions that had to be implemented, much of which had to do with educating the public. Unfortunately, most of these issues went unnoticed because we didn't listen to the scientists.
According to water folklore, the public didn't notice until Schlitterbahn Water Park closed. It got so bad a federal state of emergency was declared. Changes in behavior and shared sacrifice were necessary for all residents dependent on the Edwards Aquifer, which supplies the Austin and San Antonio region.
So what did the people do? Was that when Austin and San Antonio realized they had to unite into Ostonio?
Once the politicians realized people were leaving the region, they assembled an emergency task force, including many engineers and scientists from both cities. This task force put out guidelines that everyone in the area had to follow. Thus, the idea of Ostonio was born.
The task force created numerous proposals along three basic common sense principles, the three C's: clean, conserve, and capacity.
Clean, conserve, and capacity. Could you please expand on that?
In a way, all of our solutions can be applied to one or more of these principles. The first clean solution that was implemented was that all construction site runoff had to follow best management practices, as shown in our model.
Can you describe the process the engineers went through to come up with more solutions for your city?
It was a long process of elimination. We tested many ideas, including placing pipes in bodies of water to lower high water levels and to increase them when droughts occurred. This didn't work because the water picked up pollutants while flowing through the pipes.
We tried all these high-tech solutions, but none of them seemed to work. We decided the best way to help nature was to stay as close to it as possible. This is how we decided on the solutions that we have today, keeping the indoors clean and modern and the outdoors green and natural.
I see that this was a long process of trial and error. It's a good thing that you persevered so that you could result in this amazing city. So, what was your end solution for capacity?
It was a large expansion of the Twin Oaks Aquifer Storage and Recovery Plant, or ASR, which was funded by federal emergency grants given to the cities.
What is an aquifer storage and recovery plant?
The ASR technology is an underground water storage facility that makes use of existing aquifer formations. It's an environmentally friendly way to store Edwards Aquifer water in the Carrizo Aquifer. Let me show you how it works.
That is really cool. What else do you do to collect and store rainwater?
On humid days when air conditioning is used, condensation is collected in this fan and drips down into the harvesting systems around the building.
We also collect water during peak storm events. The Carrizo Aquifer was first used as a small storage facility in the early 2000s, but has been greatly expanded to over 10 times its original size.
Jordan, what areas of environmental engineering were implemented to safely feed these water systems?
In the early 2000s, water runoff from concrete was a huge unseen problem. Oil, dirt, and chemical pollutants were entering the Edwards Aquifer from Ostonio urban area, causing precious drinking water to become contaminated. Leon, can you please demonstrate dirty water? This is how it was 130 years ago in 2032.
This was fixed by requiring all new and maintenance construction activity on concrete surfaces to use pervious concrete as the primary material of choice. Developing common sense legislation enforcing the utilization of this was very important to the success of the clean portion of the three C's.
Today, all construction of roadbed areas, like you can see here in our model, are made of pervious concrete, which actually filters water as it enters the Edwards Aquifer. Leon, can you please demonstrate? This model gives a clear understanding the impact pervious concrete has on a region as populous as Ostonio, in which 10 to 20% of the city areas have concrete coverings.
This is a huge benefit preventing contaminated runoff, impacting the clean of the three C's. This is what the water looks like after being cleaned. As you can see, it makes a dramatic difference.
But I'm sure a city as good as this must have some trade-offs.
A few have some risks and trade-offs, such as the pervious concrete.
In the pervious concrete, the pollutants that are filtered out build up after a while, creating a layer of filth, which blocks the passage of water. This was solved by using a machine called the Rockzoni, which is like a Zamboni but for rocks, to clean the concrete regularly.
This is a perfect example of engineers working together to create creative solutions concerning our water management. Some examples of the participants include civil, hydrologists, land planning, and environmental engineers.
So you've told us a lot about cleaning capacity. How about conservation?
For conservation, a plan was developed to collect all rainfall from green rooftops across the metro area. This collected rainwater can then be put to many uses, including to irrigate the native landscaping located around each structure.
Each building in the area has an innovative water harvesting system with an average of 1 million-gallon storage tank located under each commercial site. Water is used in an efficient evaporative cooling system for indoor facilities.
This reuse of water in Ostonio leads to a greater degree of conservation. In addition, in the agricultural zone, which uses 100% hydroponic farming, a system was developed to collect and reuse evaporation.
So is this water harvesting only in those zones?
No. Today, each home in the residential area is required to have a certain water storage system. The size of this system is dependent on the size of the block. This way, the people in each home can use their own water.
By having all water users working together to apply the 3 C's, clean, conserve, and capacity, we ensure an adequate supply of clean and healthy water so our people will live long and prosper.
I never thought that a city could be this advanced and yet still have that simplistic beauty. ASR is a high level of technology while still being natural. You have accounted for all the risks and have provided excellent solutions for cleaning, conserving, and capacity. Thank you for spending your time with us. This is Leon Erdahl, signing off.
Yeah, so I had a question. You mentioned a lot about rainfall and storing rainfall, but I know in Texas there's a lot of stories about these droughts that have lasted like over years in some cities. What would happen in your city if there was a long drought, say 3 years?
When the water drips down from that hill and goes down into the aquifer, we actually store water. We pump water from the Edwards Aquifer into the Carrizo Aquifer to be stored over long periods of time.
And then what would that storage capacity, like how long would that storage work for?
Well, as long as we really wanted it to, because we can actually expand the Carrizo Aquifer. We can also expand it with the population. So if the population was on a rise, we could expand the Carrizo to fit what we needed.
What skills have you developed during your involvement in Future City?
Well, for me, before this competition, I really didn't like to stand up and speak, but I've actually grown really comfortable now with speaking in front of a large crowd.
Yeah. Leon was kind of one of our quietest people on our team, and he filled up the courage to actually come out here and speak to all of you guys. So we're all really proud of him for coming out and doing this. So.
What was your biggest challenge in addressing the topic and, reflecting your city?
Well, we had to do a lot of research on different ways to clean and conserve water, and yeah, research was very difficult. It seems easy, but it's not.
Yeah, and actually working together to collaborate and really bring all of our ideas together was kind of a challenge. I mean, we've all been really good friends for a really long time, but still, I mean, we all have different ideas and opinions about what we should have done. So we just merged all of our ideas and ended up in this product.
Where did you get all the recycled electronics and like the ancient printer ball?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Well, actually, we took apart a TV, 2 computers, a Wii game console, and also we smashed a toaster. So that was fun.
Were there any elements that you had to really fundamentally rethink? Did something not work? You said, we have to do this all over again, or anything like that?
Actually, when we came to Washington and we unwrapped our box, our model looked nothing like this.
Everything was off in one corner and not attached where it was before.
Yeah, all the buildings were in a corner. They were all off. Like, some of the paper came off and we had to re-glue that. So if we could have done this again, we definitely would have experimented with different types of glues to not have that problem.
Resilience.
Besides water conservation, what benefits can be derived from your stormwater system?
Well, actually, it's kind of includes to where we got the funding for this. In the Edwards Aquifer, there's actually a
Endangered species called the Texas blind salamander, and that lives in the Edwards Aquifer.
And so we got the funding from the Fish and Wildlife Association they pitched in and did their part to reserve this endangered species, so.
Have you made any plans for future expansion in your city?
Yes, the Carrizo Aquifer can be expanded as the population expands to supply all of the population with water. And also we have set aside land for each zone, for expansion of each zone.
How does your city help support a healthy lifestyle for your residents?
Well, for instance, our city supports biking and walking and also we have the stadium for all sports needs. And then so our city, actually we have a bike share project throughout our city where you can pay to get a bike and drive it around or ride it around. So our city, we try to support biking and walking as much as possible.
So the stadium is where the rodeos, you're gonna hold the
He wants those rodeos.
I have a question about energy. I think a lot about energy, and today's solar panels and solar technology are still pretty inefficient and costly. So I don't know if you have a sense of what kinds of innovations would have been required to get enough solar energy. One of you said, I think the city, you estimated the population at how big? So just tell me a little bit about energy and that total size of the city. Do you see a way to get that much energy out of the technologies you have there?
Well, for instance, our solar panels, the reason all the wires are going this way is because they're designed to mirror where the sun is pointing from, so you get a maximum amount of solar energy for your solar panels.
Okay.